Anything under open forum?
No, sir.
All right. Our consent agenda, any concerns?
Ms. Sylvia Sanchez is here to present it. Ms. Laura Briones had a death in her family, Judge, so Ms. Sylvia Sanchez is here to present it.
All right. Need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Under item 4, need a motion to approve the appointment of a special counsel. We're going to be focusing on the DA's office as opposed to what we had talked about last week, to conduct the investigation into the issues of the payment of the $3,735,000 to NTEC for the construction management of Hidalgo County Drainage District Number 1 Master Drainage Plan Phase 2 projects, and upon completion, prepare and provide a report to the Hidalgo County Drainage District Board
To investigate or to look at the contract?
to look at the contract, to see if it, well, they're going to need to report to us.
Yeah. Okay, move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Up number 5.
On that I just had a question on that contract. It was approved by
Commissioners Court.
the court.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, sir, it was approved by the board. We've got a video to present to the board if they would like to look at it, and I think it would clarify a lot of the questions as to who were the members there at the board,
Yeah.
the discussion regarding the fees. It'll take about 4 or 5 minutes to present to the board.
I know I sat in on a meeting with you, Godfrey, because I had questions in the last few meetings in question with what had happened back then.
Yes, sir.
And I've seen the video myself, and obviously some other facts of the matter regarding some board action, given permission to our bond counsel and things like that. Some
Yes,
of
sir.
the stuff that I've seen kind of makes me believe that there's, some of these issues can be clarified pretty easily.
If the board wishes, we're ready for it to present to the
Why
board.
why don't you present it to the people who are going to be looking at it and coming back with a report?
The only thing I would wish, Judge, again, it's up to the board's consideration, that a lot of this item put out in the public. I like for the public to see the issues, what action the board took, who was there. It addresses a lot of the questions that have been brought up regarding
How long is this video?
about 5 minutes or 6
Oh, I
minutes.
mean,
Well, why don't you play it? I haven't seen it, and I'd like to see it, see
Okay, sir.
what.
What's the date of it, Godfrey?
It's a day of the Commissioners Court. It is dated the February 06, 2007, which is when the board selected my firm to do the work.
Should be the last pages on the stapled agenda.
He wants to bill us for the paper, sir, and we limit the amount of money we give the district from the district for the paper.
Looking at Owasa Precinct 2,
Yes, sir.
and then the other ones are Commissioner.
Precinct 4. We've been doing them systematically, Commissioner, based on our M&O to do replacements on that particular item. We've been going on that project for about 3 years now.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any more discussion? All in favor, please say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Item number 5, discussion and action regarding contract renewal with Intake Corporation to perform the services of general manager of the district under Texas Water Code 49.056. I've had legal counsel draw up the contract that we've used before. It's the contract in language identical except for additional services in there regarding the management of the bond issue that we have in place. Here is the board to consider being rehired, I guess, for another term with the district.
Is there a,
What would be a term?
yeah,
It'd be a 3-year term, Commissioner, similar to the original contract we had, with the option of a 1-year extension if the board wishes after the 3 years. You have your 30-day out clause, which is standard in all your contract. Insurance requirements are standard. All the items are identical in the contract.
Tell me about, your responsibilities have been here for the last years because you've been maintaining.
Yes, sir.
Now we're going to have new construction
That is correct, sir.
in the $100 million range or $200 million range.
Yes, sir. Basically, the district in the past has been under a maintenance and operation of the system itself. We've grown from probably about 40 employees to over 90 employees at this time. We've increased probably about 300 to 350 miles of linear facilities in the last 10, 11 years. We've been changing our growth, our policies for the district as far as the drainage problems. In addition to the services that I had under the district on M&O, I worked for the right-of-way department for the district until about a year ago that the right-of-way department went over. In the past year, we've been working also as the floodplain manager for the district, which is part of the growth we have now going on with the IBWC. As you're aware, we're entering into a large development within the district, which is the Master Drainage System Phase 2. At this time, the voters have allocated about $100 million. We have a 15, 20-year program out there, which might total $400 or $500 million. Because of the growth we're having, we have more coordination going on with the International Boundary Commission, Corps of Engineers, state representatives, federal government. So those are going to be additional duties that I see coming forward, along with the construction management of these projects that are coming into play.
So you let go of your right-of-way end, and now you're going to take on the construction end of it.
Basically, that's where we're at right now, Commissioner.
And you're prepared to do that?
Yes, sir, I am. Hoping the court sees that also.
And you're going to give me hike and bike trails on your drainage district, right?
Judge, I would be more than happy to give you hike and bike trails, be less maintenance for the district as long as legal counsel signs off on the liability.
How come you leave everything up to Steve all the time?
Well, Judge, the problem is, in a lot of those drainage districts, we only have easements.
We don't own it.
And we don't own it, and those easements are very restrictive as to what the easement can be used for.
What-
But I will say this, though.
How do we fix it?
All new acquisitions are going to be fee simple.
Yes, sir. We are going in through the process, Judge, Commissioners, that I'd say 80% of the system we have is under easements. People have sold their lands, they no longer have ownership to it. We're gonna go try to do systematically transfer those easements back to the county or to the district because they're sitting there and not creating a tax base. The owners are gone, they've deceased, there really is no legal track on them. And just for the tax benefit, we could probably get these easements back to us.
Most of the people subdivided and are gone.
And we've gotten the lands fee simple when a developer comes in there and subdivide, they have to turn it over to fee simple. But we have a lot of areas that are not fee simple under easement.
Yeah, I had that with Hitler Walker, Ronald Walker,
Yes, sir.
with the subdivision, that she said, you're going to give me this, or you're not going to have a subdivision. And we gave her, I don't know, 4 acres.
Basically, what we're doing is all new land acquisition, we're gonna be going through a title company for fee simple acquisitions to make sure we don't run into the system for the future generations down the road.
Are we going to, is the contract for the same amount, or?
How long have you been in contract?
I've been under contract for about 7 years right now, Judge. I've been working with the district going on 11 years. I started working for the district back in 1979 under Meldon and Hunt. So I've been working on the drainage system with Hidalgo County, I guess, 27, 28 years.
You were trained by Vanna Walker?
I was trained by Vanna Walker, Charlie Curtis, and I've gone through probably about 5 county judges. Commissioner Handy, he's
It's
been
been
here
7.
quite a while.
It's been 7 county judges.
7 county judges.
Yeah.
So I've gone through quite a while. The contract to y'all right now on the maintenance and operation we have is the same amount. It's up to the board if they wish to increase it or not increase it. I presented that document for y'all's consideration. If y'all wish to
So
increase,
your base pays the same.
yes, sir, it is. That's up to the board.
There's an item that called for executive session on.
On this? An item on the contract?
On the agenda. No, Steve?
No, sir.
Real estate acquisition and pending a potential litigation.
Litigation.
You gonna sue us?
No, sir, I hope not.
Let's get it right.
Those are standing items we
We're
have.
just wondering if, because of the additional duties and all that, it was going to increase.
Can we go into executive session?
Well, you don't have personnel listed, and this really is not personnel, it's a contractual item with the corporation. So no, you could not.
I think is if you're doing something different or in addition to what you're doing. Commissioner Garza?
What I want to know is there a component of the contract to
Steve?
Steve? Is there a component of the contract that will pay Godfrey for this mammoth project coming up.
Yes, there is.
Okay, and how's that set up, Roy?
The way that is currently set up is there's two forms of compensation. The first form is the same as last year's contract.
For the maintenance and
For the maintenance
operation
operation.
of the existing ditch?
The second form is the compensation for the management of the new ditch, and that is set at 1.5% construction cost, excluding any and all cost of real estate acquisition.
Okay, so let me get this. So we're gonna buy probably $20 million worth of real estate.
He
He gets nothing for that. Okay. Now, if we construct the ditch in phase one, which might or might not get dug in the term of his contract,
Correct.
then he gets a 1.5% of whatever
The actual construction
costs
cost,
are, but not on real estate acquisition.
excluding real estate acquisition.
Okay? So that would translate into, now, what if we do the work ourselves?
That would still be construction cost. I mean, the way it's set up is the chief financial officer of the district is going to determine what the actual construction costs are on a monthly basis that they pay out.
Okay, but there's a problem then. Who's the chief financial officer of the district?
Ms. Laura Briones is the financial officer of the district, I'm not. She's the one that handles all the accounts receivable, accounts payable, the actual financial part of the district.
See, I'm looking for some checks and balances here.
One of the items that we're looking at that's coming before the board is hire an independent auditor to be looking at all the bond issues. There are companies out there that do specifically that, independent auditors that handle bond issues to provide the transparency, per se, of the district itself, not monitoring itself, even though we have an independent auditor, is to hiring an auditing company that does the overview of all the bond issue money that come in place. That is the checks and balances.
By hiring an outside auditing firm.
Yes, sir.
Who's done it in the past?
They haven't.
We haven't done it in the past, sir.
We haven't had a bond issue since the 70s.
Or who's audited this drainage district in the past?
Burton McCumbers has been our independent auditor, sir. And Burton McCumbers' firm has done a similar auditing under bond issues for the Harlingen PUB and the Brownsville PUB to monitor the issues on bond transparencies. So it's fortunate that we're going to be going out for an RFQ for independent auditing and auditing in the near future.
He's taking out the calculator, hold on. So reduction and, change order for reduction of contract.
¿Cómo?
Yeah, Oscar's doing the math.
Yeah.
They took my.
Any other questions, Commissioners?
Well, based on your 1.5% figure,
Per million, it's
sir?
30,000.
Well, no. If you have $10 million in construction, that's 150,000? Am I?
Yes, sir.
To oversee the construction?
If you do it all in 1 year.
Yes, sir.
Well, let's say it's gonna take 5 years. It's gonna take,
Still gets,
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is not lump sum. What I'm saying
Right.
is
Correct.
whatever long it takes.
If in 3 years the contract is, or the bonds are not completed and I don't get my contract renewed, I only get paid for whatever has been built up to the time of my contract. So the bond issue takes 15 years or 10 years to build and I'm not here,
yeah.
I'm out of it. As long as I'm under contract and managing the construction, I'm able to do that.
when do we start work on the $100 million?
We're heading up to New York tomorrow, weather permitting, to come forward with the ratings on the bonds, sell bonds, probably 30, 45 days. We have contracts out with the engineers. We're ready to go on the project within the next 60, 90 days. We cannot issue out any contracts or bid out any contracts until we have money in hand. Mr. Hinojosa has advised us that we should have money in hand by April sometime, which should get us into the construction mode probably during hurricane season.
You might want to read this into the record in terms of appointments that are scheduled for Thursday and Friday.
As it relates to, I guess it relates to my contract on the bond issue, we're scheduled to be going up to New York on a bond trip. We will be meeting Thursday at 10 o'clock with FSA Michael Candelero, at 12:30 AMBA Bank with Ted Mullen, At 2 o'clock with Moody's, Mireya Loe. On Friday at 10 o'clock, we'll be meeting with Standards and Poor, Horacio Aldrate Sanchez. At 1:30 p.m., we'll be meeting with XL Group, Kin Wong. At 3 o'clock on Friday, we'll be meeting with FGIC, Mary Van Coyer. These are all rating companies that will be bidding on the bond issue when Estrada Hinojosa puts it out for.
And our financial advisor is the one that picks those companies, or how do we derive to those?
The financial advisor is the one that looks at the different companies. At this time, there's 6 different companies that he's considering bidding on the bonds. I guess through his experience in other bond issues, he's worked with similar companies or other companies. But those are the companies that we're presenting all our financial stats to.
Those are just rating agencies. They won't be buying the bonds.
Correct.
The underwriter will buy the bonds.
We'll wait to start at the rating agency.
The rating agencies, for the underwriter to be able to buy the bonds and be able to sell the bonds in the market, you have to get ratings from the rating agencies to establish the credibility and the financial rating of the bonds.
Correct.
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Mark Luther, I'm gonna put you on the spot right now.
Raise your right hand.
Mark Liver with Ted's Infrastructure Group.
In the open market,
Repeat that.
for a construction manager type of situation that Mr. Godfrey is talking about, by a consultant, what's the fee?
It ranged between 3 to 5% of the construction cost.
And that person makes sure that everything gets where it needs to be.
Right.
Okay. Godfrey, why are you requesting 1.5%?
That's good. Déjalo.
No.
I guess we can go into executive session, potential litigation. I guess I'm shortchanging myself. I think it's a just fee for the work that I'm requested of doing. I'm going to be working on a daily basis already within the district. I feel my monthly compensation also is part of the work that I need to do. Going out there and hiring an independent consultant outside or another firm, they would have to dedicate or have people coming in. I'm going to be on a day-to-day basis that I've done in the past with the district. And I feel it's a fair compensation. If the board would like to consider a higher compensation, there'll be no objection from my end.
Mark Luther,
Or lower compensation.
Or lower or none at all.
do you know of anybody in the county that has the experience and the knowledge that Godfrey does with our drainage system?
Or volunteers.
Not anybody that I can think about.
Okay. This 1.5%, of course, if it's a $70 or $100 million project over 20 years, amounts to a pretty good chunk of change. But I don't know if you're aware about our system that we're trying to work. Acquisition of real estate will take a year and a half.
Yes, sir.
We're anticipating right now, and this is what we put out to the public on the bond issue, we're anticipating about 40% of the bond issuance of the $100 million is going to be land acquisition.
Okay. So, give me a hole in this contract, Mark. What's the hole in it?
What's the what?
Where's the hole in it? Why are we getting such a good deal? Why is it only 1.5 instead of 3.5 or 4?
Well, when I say a consultant like myself would be 3 to 5%, with the high end being 5%, maybe I'm providing some geotechnical or some surveying stuff. On the low level at 3%, of course, I've got a higher overhead than Godfrey does. So.
Sure. That's why he's able to do it cheaper.
Yeah.
Now, he's a consultant with us. He's not an employee.
Right.
He's got a contract to run the district, and obviously he's done a very good job throughout the years.
He's very knowledgeable of your whole system. I can't.
And arbitrage. I forgot about that.
And
Well, you know what? I'm comfortable with it all day long.
Any other questions?
so moved.
Motion?
Second?
A second. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Any other items?
Judge, Commissioners, I appreciate the opportunity to keep serving the district. I hope I continue doing the same amount of work that I've done in the past for you.
Any other?
Godfrey, what we need to do is now that we have your contract locked up,
Yeah, give me my hike and bike trails.
and we got the money coming, we need to aggressively work on acquisition of equipment,
Yes, sir.
personnel, and real estate.
I think one of the key is real estate, Commissioner, because prices of land in our area are doing nothing but going up. And I think I brought that up to the board members before, using the full strength of the county's right-of-way department to begin the acquisition throughout the whole area as quickly as possible.
Congratulations, Governor.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Looking forward to continue to work with you, but I would recommend you get something on the agenda, a report to the court and the general public of any, or the status report, at least every other week.
Judge, Commissioners, in my contract, it's put in there that I will be providing a report to y'all and the general public every 30 days on the status of the project, or more as the board wishes. But we want to keep the general public informed as much as possible as to where their tax money is being spent on the bond issue.
And you can make a news release when you give us a report, so
Will do, sir.
anybody that wants to run with it will have that opportunity.
And then we'll provide it, get it on the internet with the county's internet service and put it on there. It gives the people the ability
You
to.
can't run without a hike and bike trail. Anything else? I'll entertain a motion.
Comprar una bicicleta.
A motion and a second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll go and adjourn this Drainage District.
Commissioners, audience, I appreciate the opportunity to present to you the action the board took back in 2007. And we've got similar videos on other actions this board has taken regarding the information to the general public and the renewal of our contract at future dates.
First of all, that video, I think, should be turned into our legal,
Right, I agree with that.
like I can look at.
I've got a transcript also, because I've been reading that transcript. I never saw the video, but I read the transcript.
Yeah.
And it never talks about defining actual construction cost. The most amount of money mentioned by Commissioner Garza is 100 million, yet you were paid on 246 million. And the reason being because in 2007, the American Recovery Act hadn't come into being. Nobody was thinking border wall. And I think the whole issue is where these projects, the border wall and the levee, part of the Hidalgo County Drainage District Number 1, Phase 2 Master Drainage Plan or something like that.
Yes, sir, and we have the documentation where we went to 16 cities and presented the packages to the 16 cities, identifying the Master Drain Phase 2 and exhibits. In addition to that, we also have 16 letters of resolution from the cities advising the board to move forward with the rest of the levies. We also have the letter from Bond Counsel, Mr. Chuy Ramirez, where it authorizes the board to move forward with the usage of the bond monies for whatever was practical associated with the bonds that were sold.
And
We have
another
stacks.
Another thing, it's like if you hit the lottery.
It was fortunate because it was a program.
We didn't know this was coming, when he got the contract.
But we hired Dannenbaum Engineering to be the construction manager of a portion of the project. So we basically paid Mr. Garza to be the construction manager of the construction manager. I mean, those are things we need to look at as to what was done under the terms of the contract and what was he entitled to be compensated for. Well, not him, but Intech.
And we have all the documentation there for you, Commissioner, but I think it was important that the public saw also that it was a contract that was out in the open. It was a public negotiated. It was not a closed-door deals. The public was discussed. The item regarding the construction cost was discussed. The only caveat that was placed on the contract was the cost of land acquisition. The board had the opportunity to add anything and everything on there, so there was no gray area left in there besides the only cost that was not associated with construction was going to be the real estate. But again, the information is there. I'll be more than happy to provide these documents to legal counsel or the board or whoever the board wishes to look at. But I think it was important to bring this out to the public to see that it was done out in public.
The only thing that I see, there's only one member of the court that voted on that contract. That was Palacios. I don't think I was there that day.
Godfrey,
Okay.
That's not unusual.
Godfrey, can you include, so you will be including, along with the video, all the resolutions passed, the packet on the Master Drain Number 2?
Sure.
All correspondence from Bond Counsel, just
Yes,
make
sir.
sure it's an all-inclusive.
We've got resolutions, exhibits. We went to 17 different entities, the AGC, the cities, public forum. So we have all of those resolutions adopted. We have the 7 audited reports done by Burton McCumber, and each year the audit report indicated what intake was getting paid. Those reports were presented to the board. So for 7 years, there was no concerns or issues. When my contract ended and I renewed my contract, that's when the issues came up.
Just turn everything in, do it right.
Yes, sir.
That's it.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
then get checked out and see what.
Why don't we move on to item 5, Mr. Garza?
Thank you, sir. Update on the rehabilitation under construction River Levee and the Edinburgh Pump Station Irrigation District 1. At the request of the board, we've been having conversations back and forth regarding the reconstruction or certification of the pump house. I don't want to bore the board with the history. I think everybody's aware of it. I did attend a meeting at Irrigation District Number 1 at the request of the board last week, and we have members from Mr. Rusty McDaniels and their engineer from the Irrigation District, and this is the response that they have for the board to consider. They've talked with an engineer by the name of Stan Lloyd, which is out of Houston. The engineer has given them an estimate of $315,000 to do the analysis of the pump house building for its structural integrity. The irrigation district is willing to put about $100,000 of that cost.
This is the one in Peñitas, right?
Yes, sir.
How much was the
I
amount?
understand, but I mean for the.
It's
public.
$315,000 for the evaluation. The irrigation district is willing to put up about $100,000 of that. They're also willing to put up about $200,000 for the construction, whatever needs to be constructed. Their engineer has given them an estimate for the design of about $200,000. So between the evaluation of the building and the design estimate, about $200,000, the irrigation district is willing to put up to $300,000. So to find out what the actual cost would be for construction of it, the drainage district or the county will have to come up with about maybe another $200,000 to get that item in place. That is what I'm reporting to the board.
How much would the drainage district have to come up with?
The drainage district would have to come up with anything and everything above that for the construction of both the pump house and the levee system.
Are you talking about putting cement or just dirt?
Was 2 parts, Commissioner. One is raising the dirt part of the levee till we get to the pump house. The other thing is retrofitting the concrete structure of the pump house itself to meet the engineering criteria for it. So it is my personal opinion, as a district manager, that that is one of the weakest links or the weakest link we have in the levee system that protects the community from getting flooded. I would really recommend the board to look at it seriously and move forward or consider moving forward on getting this item rehabilitated and certified. But again, it is whatever the board wishes to do on this program.
So it would, 200,000 from the county and then whatever the.
Whatever the construction
cost.
cost is going to be, sir. And I would recommend that we do an interlocal if the board proceeds with the irrigation district, in which they will handle the hiring of the engineer, whatever they need to, for their pump house, okay? And the district will move forward in hiring whatever we need to do or do whatever we need to do on the dirt part.
Can we still haul dirt ourselves
Yes,
and
sir.
try to keep the cost down?
Yes, sir. I think we could haul the dirt in there. We might want to contract with a contractor to do the terracing, the actual physical
Yeah.
construction, but for us to provide any and all material that's going to be needed for that
Yeah.
particular dirt section of it. But
Need
that
a
is my position or recommendation of the board. We do have Mr. Rusty McDaniels here and his engineer, if you have any specific questions of them.
Gotta do it.
How
We
long,
got no choice,
how
right?
long would it take for completion?
Commissioner, I would estimate that it would take probably maybe 45 days to maybe 60 days to get the evaluation done. I'm talking about the building. In the meantime, I would recommend that we move forward with Dannenbaum Engineering.
What's gonna happen, who's gonna be pumping water to that canal after, when you put this?
Well, the pump structure would stay operational. It would not shut down while the construction goes on because that is the main artery.
Excuse me, let's go back to the question.
Yes, sir.
How long process is this going to take?
Well, that's where I'm trying to get at, Commissioner. I'd estimate about 45 days, maybe 60 days for the engineer to come and do the evaluation of the building. That's just my best guess. I believe if the board moved forward with Dannenbaum Engineering that has done the rest of the levees, we can move forward on the reconstruction of the levees and getting that going.
But what if, in those days, you never know, I mean, those 45 days, so what if we have a hurricane?
We would,
It's a guy said,
Yeah, I know, but I mean, you never know.
I guess we would look at
Ya
this.
no duerme.
I guess we would look at a standby plan, Commissioner. I had recommended that instead of putting in the dirt on a temporary fix, we look at these flood tube controls, which are very large diameter tubes that could be 4 feet, 5 foot in height, that would be filled with water, and they've used them up north to protect rivers from overflowing into cities, that we have some direction of where we could have access to them, where we could rent them, where we could buy them, and see how long that process would take for them to come down here as a backup plan. Because usually if the river's gonna flood, we have about 4 to 5 days heads up.
Because if you're gonna start it, say, right about hurricane
Or
season,
you will be
maybe
right.
we need to wait till after January, February of next year.
Yeah. We would have to start rather quickly in the next 30 to 45 days to really get into the game plan of moving the project forward. But again, there's still a bureaucratic issue. We cannot do anything until the judge sends a letter to the IBWC commissioner and saying that the district is going to take this on.
And I need authority from the court to do
Yes,
that.
sir.
Well, and I want to be on record that
So do I, sir.
we need to move on it
How do we?
to avoid any serious problems in case of a hurricane.
The board can
I'm
move,
still on the board. I haven't died or passed away
So when can
until
we give
December
authority?
the 31st.
the board can, by next week, if we place an item on the agenda, mobilize, okay? And let the process of with the IBWC run its course. But in the interim, you can start doing what you need to do.
We have the money right now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we said it.
If the board allocates it, and this money would be coming out of whatever monies we have left from the 2006 bond issue, because the levies were part of the components, okay? Or we'd have to go into our fund balance to address the issue. Or if the county wants to put some money in.
They'll be
I
covered.
don't think that's gonna happen.
Do you,
Is it going to be covered with one
can
of
we act
the?
on doing that today, Judge, or we have to wait?
I would like to see if we can act on it. Steve, what do you, we look at the agenda item.
The agenda item just says update. I think it would be,
But it also says and/or construction of.
right, but the problem is we're going to need a few other items on the agenda, such as we're going to need the interlocal with the irrigation district before we can do anything. We can get
We
that
can-
on for next
We
week.
can start moving the process, Judge, and put an item on the agenda once legal puts the language forward. But getting an understanding in public and on record as a commissioner says of what the wish of the board is, then I can move at the direction of this board
Well, that's-
without any
that's
legal
my
action
wish,
on it.
so, I mean, we
Yeah,
can start doing things.
We need to get started on it so we can, you know, the
Are y'all-
the more years go by that we don't have a hurricane, the greater the likelihood one's coming.
But again, I request on record, are y'all giving me the authority to move forward and getting the paperwork, not contracting, but getting the paperwork prepared for legal counsel to put an item on the agenda?
And we can get the letter ready and then we can approve it next week.
And again, I just need direction from y'all.
I believe the consensus is to go ahead and proceed and
Okay, sir.
get going on whatever is needed to work on this project.
That's fine, Judge. I just want to make sure on record because we're getting in every item, make sure it's on record. I don't want to come back
Godfrey,
and have issues.
let me recommend you start the process.
Yes, sir.
Pero get an item on the agenda where the court can take action.
Definitely, Commissioner. I have no issue on it, but again, because of the urgency this board is putting out there, I don't want to be putting my neck out there
Yeah.
and then get it hit.
Get with Steve and work on those interlocals and everything. Let's-
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go ahead. Yes, sir? Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner.
Under item 6, discussion, consideration, and approval of submittal of an application to the Texas Water Development Board for a grant in the amount of $5,599,008 from funds made available through House Bill 1025, 83rd Legislature, to be used for the development and improvements associated with the Raymondville Drain. As y'all are aware, we had presented to this board on the last legislature, the language had been passed for monies being available for up to $10 million. The Water Development Board has now put the document out for us to apply, or the opportunity to apply. I do have the consultants here to give the board a briefing on it, and I would like to also be put on the record that I am not getting a percentage of this particular dollar amount or this contract anymore, because it is not in my contract. So I just want to clarify that. But I do have Mr. Rene Ramirez here to give the board some information on that grant application that if the board considers, we can get the resolution cleared and moved on.
Well, I mean, you need action on this right now.
Yes,
right?
sir. But I'm just here in case I need additional information.
Yeah. Move for approval.
I don't see any downside for this.
Yeah.
Move for approval?
Second?
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 7, presentation of scoring grid for the purpose of ranking by Hidalgo County Drainage Number 1 Board of Directors of firms graded and evaluated through the district's approval of pool of professional engineers in connection with professional engineering service required for the assessment and repairs of aluminite structural plate arch Mission Inlet crossing on McCall Road. This is the one, Commissioners, that board that I presented to you several weeks back where somebody had burned a car, or exploded a car inside the arch plate and then melted the metal in it. And this is a road project that TxDOT's trying to build. So we submitted in the forms to precinct number 2, and they've ranked the following engineers: Ramiro Gutierrez with a 97, LNV with a 93, South Texas Infrastructure Group with an 88.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B, requesting approval of the Hidalgo County Drainage Number 1 to negotiate agreement for professional engineering services with the number 1 ranked firm of Ramiro Gutierrez Engineering for the provision of engineering service required for the assessment and repairs of the aluminum structural plate arch Mission Inlet crossing on McCall Road.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item C, presentation of scoring grid for the purpose of ranking by Hidalgo County Drainage Number 1 Board of Directors of firms graded and evaluated to the district's approval, pool of professional engineers in connection with professional engineering services required for Precinct 2 roadway systems off-site drainage improvements as it relates to the interlocal cooperative agreement with the RMA. Firms named are R. Gutierrez Engineering, Inc. with a 97, Urban Infrastructure Group with an 80, PCE with a 78.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item D, requesting approval of the Hidalgo County Drainage Number 1 to negotiate agreement of professional engineering services with the number 1 ranked firm of Ramiro Gutierrez Engineering for the provision of engineering service required for Precinct 2 roadway systems off-site drainage improvement that it relates to the interlocal cooperative agreement with the RMA.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Under 2013 Bond Series E, requesting approval to advertise for RFP number HCDD1 14-011-0416, Hidalgo County Precinct 4, North Seminary Drainage. This is for authorization to advertise a drainage project under the bond issue.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
2013 Bond Series, request approval of estimate number 2 to IPR South Central LLC pertaining to contract number TP0713 through the district's membership with HGAC by member number 07149, approved by the board on 11/12/2013 for the construction of the Radel Drain Reroute Rehabilitation Project, signed off by the project engineer Meldon Hunt.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
And we do have an item under potential litigation in closed session for the board's consideration.
Need a motion pursuant to 551-071 and 072 to proceed to executive session.
Second.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries. Please join us in our Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bridget, Ms. Down. Amen.
Heavenly Father, we thank you today for all the gifts you have bestowed on us. Help us to be ever mindful of that with these gifts come the responsibility to be good stewards of these resources. Help us also to remember that the good we can do for the people of Hidalgo County. Help us to make decisions based always on that premise. All of this we ask in your name. Amen.
At this time, we're going to take a short recess of the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court meeting and convene the Drainage District Board meeting, and we'll be in executive session. We can go ahead and proceed.
Yes, sir. I will defer to Mr. Guerra for his direction.
Thank you. Judge, Commissioners, I do want to put on the record, under open session C, C15-1814-F, Josephine Carnell and David Mendoza Jr. versus Hidalgo County and Hidalgo County Drainage District Number 1 and Gerardo Cavazos. Judge, Commissioners, for the record, I want to state that Mr. Randy Marksbury from TML out of Austin is the attorney that has been appointed by the Texas Municipal League in conjunction with Mr. Gene Brewster, an adjuster with Cunningham and Lindsay, who has also been appointed by TML to coordinate and facilitate the defense of this case for the Drainage District. Again, just for the record, I wanted to put on the record that there is an attorney that has been appointed not by us, but by TML, which is the Drainage District's insurance carrier.
In action?
No, sir, just
No,
for
no, no.
informational purposes.
Yes, for informational purposes.
All right.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you very much, Judge Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. All right, at this time, we would convene our regular meeting of the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court. Any concerns with the consent agenda? Oh, anyone here from the auditor's office?
No, but I've got a couple of questions on the consent agenda.
Ma'am?
I have a couple of questions on the consent agenda. I've asked Jaime, and he doesn't know what they are, so
Just a minute, please. Here he comes. We want to wait for our auditor.
I want to know what they are. I want him to know I asked you.
Ya pasamos con el-
Any concerns on the agenda, consent?
No, I don't have any concerns, Judge. Unless anyone else does, recommend approval. I don't have any concerns on consent.
All right, we have one concern from a member of the public.
I just have a question. On 9B, you have approval to pay the FAR Police Department for the following burglary/robbery permit fee for Hidalgo County Precinct 2 for $210. Are we giving someone permission to rob it, or I don't understand what it is? A burglary robbery permit fee.
Well,
glad to answer
at
that.
least we make it legal.
Making it easy for them, okay. And then the other thing that's on the consent agenda was number 9K. We have a district judge that got an Apple iPad stolen out of their car. It has a police report from Palmview Police Department. The value was $529. I can't see where, who's paying for it. Is it going to come out of their car insurance? Was the car broke into? Because it does say a vehicle. So if it was broke in, they got to pay for the glass. They've got a police report. Or is the insurance going to cover it, or are the taxpayers going to have to buy another one? I just had a question on that. Thank you.
All right.
We're good?
I'm not sure if anybody has the answer to that, but let's go ahead and proceed to,
Move for approval?
second. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Before we proceed, we want to take time and recognize an event that's occurring today in Washington, where President Barack Obama is going to be honoring a gentleman that during his lifetime lived in the city of Edinburgh here in Hidalgo County, and by posthumously awarding him the Congressional Medal of Honor, the highest military award that this country has to honor its veterans. Private Cano was a World War II veteran. That's Pedro Cano. He grew up and lived in Edinburgh. He was born in Nuevo León, Mexico. Private Cano is being recognized for his courageous actions during combat operations in Germany in 1944. Private Cano single-handedly destroyed 6 German-held encampments, freeing other United States units that were trapped. 23 other veterans will also be honored following congressionally mandated review to ensure that eligible recipients were not bypassed due to prejudice and discrimination. And we are honored that this gentleman, this Private Pedro Cano, was during his lifetime a resident of our county. All right, under open forum. Vern McClarty.
Going back to the other, I do hope you find an answer, even though you just okayed to take care of everything in the consent agenda. My question in the open forum, which I can't get an answer because you can't talk back, is why are we, it's on 7E, we are going to get an alarm for 300 East Hackberry. Trying to figure out what building it is that we're going to put an alarm system in. If it's the old card tags and stuff, believe me, there's nothing in there that they can steal. We've walked through it. We thought the building should be used again and reopened for the card tags for the people of McAllen, but we don't understand why we're getting an alarm system from Superior Alarms over there at 300 East Hackberry.
Next presenter is Opal Billman.
Good morning. My name is Opal Billman. In 1942, Willis and Mildred Billman bought the north 20 acres of John H. Sherry, Lot 184. Joe and I bought this land from his mother and dredged a lake on it. In 1996, when Joe sued for divorce, the judge decided this land was excess land with no value. Joe and I bought the south 14.22 acres of Lot 193, John H. Sherry, in 1960, and built an RV park on it. In consideration of a divorce settlement, the trier of the truth determined this to be excess land with no value. John H. Sherry, Lot 183, purchased from Howard Construction Company in 1971 by Joe and me, was 20 acres with a citrus orchard on it. In the divorce process, judgment from the court was that this land was excess land with no value. The citrus trees were lost in a hard freeze, at which time Joe and I planted some citrus trees, fenced the land, and pastured goats on it. Joe and I bought all of this land, plus another 25 acres, also declared excess land with no value, paid the taxes on the land for years, and have sold none of it. In August of 2012, I observed heavy equipment tearing up 20-acre lot number 183. I called the construction company, identified myself as the owner, and asked them please to remove their equipment. They did not. A huge bar ditch was graded from the west across my entire property and continued south to about the middle of the acreage and connected to my lake. Equipment leveling my 20 acres of land so rainfall would flow toward the lake and my house amassed huge piles of dirt that are still there. This parcel of land was flat and had no flooding problems, not even a puddle. The bar ditch is presently on my land, therefore belongs to me and will have to be maintained or grow up into brush. Joe and I kept this land cleared and used it. When the heavy equipment was removed, I called the company and asked them to please come back and restore my land. They didn't. At about the same time that this was happening, I noticed more heavy equipment at the southmost west corner of my lake where a standpipe for United Irrigation exists. I have been concerned that my lake was connected to the irrigation district's pipelines. This 54.22 acres of land, along with the other 25 acres, is private property owned by the estate of Joe Billman and me. It appears that there is an attempt to take over our private property for free to provide drainage for the area and a reservoir for someone. Legally, that cannot be done in this country. Last I heard, Hidalgo County is still in the United States of America. Private property law makes these actions illegal. My property cannot just be taken away from me for free and given to someone else because they want it. Criminal trespass is occurring, but it is not being done by the owner, which is me. To accomplish this outrageous land grab, I have been held in false imprisonment for 17 years and tried twice for criminal trespass on land that I own in the deeds that matter, the valid deeds. The law is this case must be dismissed, and that was in 2003. Thank you very much.
Muy buenos días a todos.
Buenos días.
Mi nombre es María Guadalupe Pruneda. Vivo en la colonia Linda Vista y soy miembro de Lupe. Les doy las gracias por darme la oportunidad de escucharme. Mi comentario el día de hoy es tocante al bono de drenaje de 3.5 millones que recibieron cada comisionado en agosto del 2012 para mejorar el drenaje en las colonias. Tenemos entendido que el precinto número 3 tiene planes para invertir en La Joya Watershed, donde 12 colonias serán beneficiadas. La comunidad del precinto número 3 le gustaría saber los nombres de estas colonias, un proyecto que costaría 1.9 millones de dólares. También nos gustaría saber que compartan con la comunidad la forma en que se usaría el otro 1.6 millones. Mi colonia, Linda Vista, le extiende una invitación especial a nuestro comisionado Joe Flores para tener una conversación transparente sobre este dinero que le pertenece a las colonias. Apreciamos mucho a Mona Parras, pero ya es tiempo que usted también se siente a la mesa con nosotros. Atentamente, la colonia Linda Vista les agradece su atención. Dios los bendiga y muchas gracias.
Judge, before we go any further, that colonia right there in Linda Vista, before I came to office, Commissioner Rosell paved it, put drainage on it, and I think City of Mission put some sewer on it. The only problem with that colonia, it sits about 16 or 17 feet elevated, lower than the other elevation around that area. And it takes, every time it rains, there's a pump. Godfrey, is Godfrey here somewhere? Well, they're the ones that installed that pump in there. And every time it rains, it pumps the water out because it's in a low spot. So a drainage ditch down west of there. Another thing is, we're going to try to talk to TxDOT. There's a line that runs north and south across 107 on the east side. We're going to try to run a line from the Colonia Linda Vista east under 107 to drain out to help the elevation. But the problem that Colonia gets flooded is because it sits about 16 feet, like in a bowl. And but Commissioner Rosell paved it. Está pavimentada, ¿verdad?
Sí, está pavimentada.
Tiene también un pond ahí atrás con unas pompas.
Sí, hay unas pompas.
Sí.
Esas
But
pompas.
no puedo comunicarme con ustedes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Pero, Judge, all that stuff been done back before I came into office. I mean, it took millions of dollars to fix it, but the only problem is the developer that built it was right, they built it right in the middle of a low spot. And the only way you can get water out of there is to pump it. That's the reason it's got a pump, because it sits about 17 or 18 feet higher. So it's got a pump. That water won't flow gravity feet, so it's got to be pumped out there. And when I came into office, another thing that I told Mr. Garza was, what if the electricity goes off? So what he did, he rigged it up where in case the power ever goes off, they'll put a generator in there. But we do plan to do something on that Colonia, try to help flow of some of that water to the east from, you know, coming months or so.
Thank you, Commissioner.
No hay problema, sí.
Gracias, señor.
Sí, gracias a usted.
Next presenter is Emilio de los Santos.
Judge and Commissioners, today I come before you just to enlighten a little bit more on our war hero, Pedro Cano. Pedro Cano received 2 Silver Stars, okay, and a Purple Heart. And then, of course, he received the Distinguished Service Cross, which is the nation's second highest military decoration. And
what is that award?
he received that one April 26, 1946.
And what did you call it? The Distinguished
Service Cross.
Service Cross.
Yeah. That's our nation's second highest military decoration, okay? Then about 5 years ago, Texas House of Representative Aaron Peña introduced a resolution, 1427. And that resolution was to recognize and honor Pedro Cano for his life and sacrifices, okay? At that time, he was awarded the Texas Legislature Medal of Honor. Okay, that's the highest medal that the state of Texas gives out. And I believe he's the second one, okay, to receive it. Okay. And now we were privileged to be there because we had another resolution that on the same day that we attended, so we attended both resolutions when it was approved. And now comes the White House event, okay, which is today. It is being held at 3:25 p.m. DC time, 2:25 Texas time. And it's to honor 24 Medal of Honor recipients that were approved by President Obama. Okay? Out of those 24, 3 are survivors, still living. Tomorrow, March 19, at 9 a.m., there'll be another ceremony at the Pentagon. Okay? And all this was confirmed through our Congressman Rubén Hinojosa's office in D.C. Okay? Attending will be his daughter, Dominga Perez, and other family will attend both ceremonies. And I just wanted to come before you and also the general public to advise them of those 2 historical ceremonies that were long overdue. And now Edinburgh has 2 Medal of Honor recipients. And the city is probably very proud, and it's a city is very patriotic also. Just wanted to inform you of that. Once again, thank you for allowing me to come before you and give you this information.
Thank you, sir. All right, item 6A.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners. Jaime Lugones for the County Judge's Office. Item 6A is approval of the resolution in support for the application of GCM Housing Alton Limited to the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs for 2014 competitive 9% housing tax credits and for the development of Bella Vista Apartments to be located on 15.87 plus or minus acres on Sherry Road between 4 Mile and 5 Mile line in the ETJ of Alton, Hidalgo County, Texas, 78573. Commissioners, Judge, this particular resolution, we do have Mr. Henry Flores with Madhouse Development is in the audience with us. And we have actually presented the information to Precinct 3, to Ms. Parras, and she shared that with Commissioner Flores. And they are certainly in support of this resolution.
Am I correct that the city of Alton, the mayor and the city commissioners all support it?
Yes, sir, they forwarded us a resolution that they've adopted and have forwarded to TDHCA as well.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye. Aye, motion carries.
Steve, do I need to read the resolution, or?
No, that's okay, we've already approved it.
Okay, thank you so much.
Item 7A,
Thank you, Judge Commissioners. There's no action under item 7A12 at this time unless there's action to be taken further down the agenda. Item 7B1, 2, and 3, Judge Commissioners, I'm just going to report that we had a meeting yesterday for the first and second floor administration building renovation. It was what I believe to be a very productive meeting. We're going to have a follow-up meeting this Thursday or Friday with respect to some information that we've requested. Upon getting that information and having that meeting, we will have a full report next week to the court with respect to the first and second floor administration building. Item C, Judge Commissioners, I'm asking the court to approve a settlement check from IOC Company, LLC, in the amount of $123.96.
Move for approval.
Second.
those in favor say aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item D, I'm also asking the court to accept the settlement check from Dairyland County Mutual Insurance Company in the amount of $877.80.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye. Aye, motion carries.
And item E, I'm asking the court to approve an alarm permit application to the McAllen Police Department Crime Records Office. This is for an alarm service at 300 East Hackberry, as well as authority for myself to sign all applicable paperwork.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge Commissioners.
Thank you. Item 8, Constable, Precinct 1.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners, Deputy Lozano, the Constable's Office. Item 8A, approval of certification of revenues as certified by the County Auditor for the 2014 LEOS funds award received from the Texas Comptroller of Public Accounts Office.
Move for approval.
Those in favor say aye. Aye, motion carries.
And number 2, approval of the 2014 appropriation of funds for the Constable Precinct 1 LEOS in the amount of $1486.61.
Move for approval.
Those in favor say aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item 8B, presentation and discussion of the 2013 racial profiling report as presented by Hidalgo County Constable Precinct 1 Department in accordance with Article 2.134 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedures.
Move for approval.
Check.
Those in favor say aye. Aye, motion carries. Morning, sir.
Good morning. Joel Rivera, Chief Deputy for Constable Precinct 4, Eddie Guerra. Agenda item 8C, item 43478, approval of 2014 appropriation of funds in the amount of $1,060.00 into the Constable Precinct 4 Investigation House Bill 65 Fund to pay invoices for court costs and fees.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sheriff's Office.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Gabriel Castañeda for Sheriff Guadalupe Trevino. Item 9A, pursuant to Texas Local Government Code at Section 157.903, consideration and approval of indemnification in the amount of $60 for an uncollectible return deposit check.
Move for approval.
Those in favor say aye. Aye, motion carries.
9B, requesting approval to process invoice number 013114 as a claim to Gloria Flores Interpreting Service in the amount of $250 for sign language services provided for an inmate for County Treasurer to issue payment after review and audit procedures are completed by the County Auditor.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, John.
Next, item number 10, Health Department.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners. Eddie Olivares, Hidalgo County Health and Human Services. Item 10A, B, and C are all in relation to Operation Lone Star. Item A is requesting approval of the interlocal agreement between the County of Hidalgo and FAR San Juan Alamo ISD. The purpose of the agreement is public health preparedness and response for Operation Lone Star.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item B is requesting approval of the interlocal cooperative agreement between the County of Hidalgo and La Joya Independent School District. The purpose of the agreement is for public health preparedness and response against for Operation Lone Star.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item C is requesting approval of the memorandum of agreement between Remote Area Medical Foundation, the County of Hidalgo. Remote Area Medical Foundation, in conjunction with Operation Lone Star, will provide free expanded medical services to the residents of Hidalgo County during Operation Lone Star.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Sir, just that last one alone will probably bring over $400,000 worth of services to our residents at no cost during Operation Lone Star on June 4th through the 5th. This year, we encourage each and every one of you to participate and come by and see the operations. Item D, sir, is requesting approval to accept the Tuberculosis Prevention Control State Grant Contract Amendment 2014-001417-01. The purpose of this amendment is to add additional language regarding reporting medication and supply inventory management in Section 1 and updates to performance measures in Section 2. The effective date is March 18th, 2014.
Approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Sir, there is no action unless you have questions on item E, which is Healthcare Funding District, or on item F, which is Indigent Healthcare Funding Program. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. If not, that is all my items today, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item 11, our adult probation.
Judge, Commissioners, 11A, there is no action under 11A today.
Item 12, Urban County.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners. Our first item on the agenda is a request on behalf of Precinct 3, in which we're requesting the approval of the amendment to a professional service agreement with Hinojosa Engineering. The agreement increase will be $4,974. But before you take action, I would like to advise you that our backup documentation indicated Javier Hinojosa Engineering when it should be Hinojosa Engineering. I've already spoken with Monica, and I'm going to replace that.
It's supposed to be, it's the same person.
It's supposed to be Hinojosa Engineering.
But it's the same person.
No. Hinojosa Engineering is Rick,
Yeah,
and the other one has Javier Hinojosa.
yeah, all right. Move for
Need
approval.
action? Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B is a request on behalf of Precinct 2, requesting the authority to purchase solar lights for White Wing and Roadrunner Colonias from Facility Solutions Group, contract number 368-10, and approved vendor through Hidalgo County's membership with the State of Texas Buy Board. The amount of the contract would be $230,551.20.
Approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item C is a request on behalf of Precinct 1, requesting consideration and approval to amend the construction contract for Rojas Construction for a Texas General Land Office contract. The construction contract will reflect a decrease from 240 days to 120 consecutive calendar days for the work related to the Delta Area Connector for Colonia Olivares 7, Olivares 9, and Olivares 18.
Move for approval.
Check.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Our final item is requesting discussion, consideration, and approval is requested to delete the following position. This is a Neighborhood Stabilization Program Coordinator. The funding expired on May 7th, and considering that we sign agreements that once funding is no longer available, that we will vacate our positions, we are requesting that this position be deleted.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. Yvonne Ramon with the Elections Department. Judge and Commissioners, in 2005, the court approved to purchase what we now use as the Ivatronic voting equipment. This is my third primary, and yes, primaries are a special challenge. But please know that on our part, all ran well. My staff and I took care of any issues that may have occurred, just like they always do, and we always strive to run clean and very transparent elections. We had an unofficial results posted on record time. By 10:20, we had already submitted all results to the state, because we know how important it is to let the candidates and to let the community know our unofficial results on election night. My expectations for each member of my staff are exceptionally high, not just my permanent staff, but also my temporary. And we work with various entities that we need to depend upon, such as the post office and such as our judges and clerks. We do a 5-hour training with our judges and clerks, always making sure that they receive the training necessary in order for them to do what we need them to do. Rumors, although, always surface after every single election because we work such a sensitive job. There are those that win and there are those that don't win, and this always surfaces. This is just what we always expect. But please know that I stand by the commitment that this court made in 2005. The Ivotronic equipment is certified not just by the state, but by the federal government. There are over 148 counties throughout the state of Texas that use this vendor, ES&S, and the Ivotronic machine. And please know that I stand by my staff. I make sure that they are knowledgeable of their obligations and their commitments in running elections for this county of Hidalgo. And we as a department always continue to train, and we continue to keep up with all our legal obligations as well as changing procedural when necessary. Yet, while we continuously strive to meet the mandates of clean and transparent elections, we also recognize that there is always room for improvement, and we accept that. We welcome any constructive concerns that you may have. And if you know, and if those that you speak to know of any evidence of irregularities in voting, we welcome them to voice these concerns, because we need these concerns to be brought forth with proof and facts and not just rumors, so that we can engage the proper authorities. And for this, I thank you as we move forward. And what I have given you are the election schedules for the upcoming elections. You can see that May 10th is election day for our political subdivisions, with early voting starting April 28th and ending May 6th. And then with the runoff elections, where election day is May 27th, with early voting starting Monday, May 19th, and the last day of early voting being Friday, May 23rd. And if the court has any questions for me, I'm here.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Item 14, our WIC department.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. I'm coming before you all for the approval to accept the FY 2014 WIC Administrative Grant Award, number 2014-045054, in the amount of $5,224,478.00, starting April 1st through September 30th.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
And then B would be the requesting the authorization to continue the provision of WIC services and commencing April 1st to September 30th, 2014.
So moved.
Second. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
And then the approval of certification of revenues by the county auditor for the FY 2014 WIC admin grant in the amount of $5,124,478, which is $100,000 less that will be left in reserves to be used in a later time.
So moved.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
D, approval of appropriation of funds for the FY 2014 WIC admin grant.
So moved.
And then E, the approval of the WIC admin grant salary schedule.
Including D and E.
Need a second?
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries.
Okay. And then 2, WIC is for the WIC breastfeeding grant, and it's going to be the A, B, C, and D, and it's the approval of $342,166 for 2014 in the for April 1st through September 30th, and then the continuing of provisions of the peer counselor program.
Let's take those separately.
Sir?
So moved.
Oh, it's already been approved, all of it?
No.
No, I'm saying let's take each
One.
one separately.
Oh, you want it separately? Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, approval to accept the breastfeeding grant, first of all.
Move for approval.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
B, requesting authorization to continue the provision of the breastfeeding peer counselor program commencing April 1st, 2014 to September 30th, 2014.
Move for, second.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
C, the approval of the certification of revenues by the county auditor for FY 2014 WIC peer counselor program. Grant.
Second.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
D, the approval appropriation of funds for the FY 2014 WIC breastfeeding peer counselor grant.
Second.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
E, the approval of the FY 2014 WIC breastfeeding peer counselor grant salary schedule.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Number 3 is registered dietitian grant approval to accept FY 2014 registered dietitian grant award number 2014-045054 in the amount of $30,000 commencing April 1st, 2014 through September 30th, 2014, pending receipt of the contract.
Move for approval.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
B, requesting authorization to continue the provision of the WIC registered dietitian program for FY 2014 commencing April 1st, 2014 through September 30th, 2014.
Move for approval.
Second. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
C, the approval of the certification of revenues as certified by the county auditor for FY 2014 registered dietitian grant.
Move for, second.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
And D, approval of appropriation of funds for FY 2014 WIC registered dietitian grant.
Move. Second.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
And then the approval of the FY 2014 WIC registered dietitian grant salary schedule.
Second.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
4 is the lactation service. A is the approval to accept FY 2014 WIC lactation services grant award number 2014-045054 in the amount of $30,000 commencing April 1st, 2014 through September 30th, pending receipt of contract.
Move for approval.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
B, requesting authorization to continue the provision of the WIC lactation services program for FY 2014 commencing April 1st, 2014 to September 30th, 2014.
Move for approval.
C,
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
C, approval of certification of revenues as certified by the county auditor for FY 2014 WIC lactation services grant.
Move for approval.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
D, approval of appropriation of funds for the FY 2014 lactation services grant.
Move for approval.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
E, approval of FY 2014 WIC lactation services grant salary schedule.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
And 5, WIC mini obesity grant. A, approval to accept the FY 2014 WIC obesity prevention award number 2014-045054 in the amount of $10,000 commencing April 1st, 2014 through September 30th, 2014, pending receipt of amended contract.
Move for second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
B, requesting authorization to continue provision of the WIC mini obesity prevention program for FY 2014 commencing April 1st, 2014 to September 30th, 2014.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And C, approval of certification of revenues as certified by the county auditor for the FY 2014 WIC mini obesity prevention grant.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And then D, approval appropriation of funds for the FY 2014 mini obesity prevention grant.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next item, 15A.
Judge,
Yes.
as I indicated last week, the county has a contract with the law firm of Purdue and Brendan in association with the law firm of John David Franz to assist in collection of the delinquent taxes. I was informed that that association no longer exists, and I'm just want to put for the record, unless otherwise instructed, I'm going to continue issuing payments to the law firm of Purdue and Brandon. That's the way I've been issuing checks since 2007.
Yeah, but what does the contract say? Look, dice.
Well, the contract is between Hidalgo County and Purdue and Brandon in association with John David Franz. The contract specifies that those two law firms being the firm. So the firm is made out of two law firms. And apparently those two law firms are no longer associated with each other.
Do you have a
I don't know
copy
when
of
the
it?
effective date is. I'm sorry?
Do you have a copy of it?
I don't have it in front of me, Judge. I think you requested one last time and I sent it to
Right.
your office. But that's how the contract reads.
Have you checked that, Steve?
Well, I have a question, Mr. Frasco. Were you informed by both firms that the firms are no longer jointly operating?
I was informed by Purdue and Brendan about 2-3 weeks ago.
And was there something in writing that they are no longer in partnerships?
No, I was just, it was a phone call that I received.
Okay.
And
Mr. Frasco, you said we have a contract between Hidalgo County as one party and the other two parties being Purdue and the losses of John David Franz.
Correct.
Okay. Until all three parties tell you, until the other two parties both tell you in writing that that contract has been amended or is no longer effective, that contract still stands as a contract.
Right.
So if you're being told something orally, oral agreements do not terminate that contract. The oral agreements, any amendment to that contract, I believe, states it has to be in writing and signed by all the parties.
Jaime, do you have a copy of it?
This contract runs up to what day?
It expires December 31, 2014, and has an option to renew 1 year.
I thought it was expiring on the end of 2014.
Yeah, it expires December 31st, 2014.
Oh, I thought I heard different months.
And it's got an option for 1 year renewal at that point.
From what I remember, the contract was only signed by someone representing Purdue and someone representing the county.
Well, John David is here.
I don't know.
Right, well,
I don't
both
know.
parties are here.
Yeah.
Do you have a copy of it, John?
Yes, Mayor.
I think the mayor has one.
Thank you, sir.
I think you might be right. If I remember correctly, just, I think it was signed by a representative from Purdue only. But do you have a copy there?
Do you have an extra?
Steve, is this an issue that affects the county, or is it an issue between the two groups?
Judge, my recommendation is we cut checks to, one check to Purdue, Brennan, Fielder, Collins, and Mott, LLP, in association with the law offices of John David Franz. then we are complying with the contract.
That's the way it's supposed to read from what I see.
Well, the issue is also that I received a W-9 form back in 2007, and that W-9 form was filled out with the name of Purdue and Brendan only. And that's the way I've been issuing checks.
Yeah, I understand.
Based on the W-9.
Mr. Frasha, I understand, but the W-9 form does not override the contract.
Right. But I go by the W-9 in order to comply with the IRS regulations? Because I get audited by the IRS and they ask for the W-9s.
Have you asked any of the other people involved in the contract for W-9s?
No, I asked for one when we set up the vendor, and that's the only one that I
Well, Mr.
received.
Frasha, I guess you got a choice of either violating state law, state contract law, or IRS regulations. My advice to you would be pay pursuant to the contract. If you need additional W-9 forms or another W-9 form, ask for that also.
Steve, what if the auditor doesn't pay this account? And let them settle whatever needs to be settled in court.
If he doesn't pay the account, then he's being in violation of the contract.
Then we're in default at that
Right,
point.
you're in default under the contract.
I think Steve's,
But what does it mean to the county if you default?
Then that means either one of those two firms can sue you for breach of contract.
I think the best thing to do maybe is terminate this contract as soon as we can, and just go out for RFQs again. RFPs, whatever. You know, once they get into, everybody agrees that they're going to terminate their relationship with each other, I mean, just go out for bids again.
Yeah. No, I think that has to be settled, but at this point, I just want the court to either direct me to cut a check to the ways I've been doing
Yeah,
it.
because the
or
way it
change it.
reads here, because it doesn't exist anymore, so.
Right.
I think what Steve is suggesting is a reasonable suggestion, that you cut the check made payable to Purdue Brandon, and in association with the law offices of John David Franz, they both have to execute it, to endorse it, to cash it, and then they let them work their issue amongst themselves.
And go out first.
Yeah, because our contract is with, well, as it stated, Purdue Brandon in association with. So that's the way the check should be cut, as Steve is suggesting, and, you know, I don't think the county needs to get involved in their particular issue.
All right. And I just want a direction on how to issue the check, Judge, and that's how you...
Is that the way you see it, Steve?
Exactly, Judge, that way we're in compliance with the
To
contract.
do it correct then, entonces it's got to read that way, Steve.
Yeah, like that won't cause any, come back at us.
I guess both firms are here, Judge. I don't, you want to...
Do any of you want to make any statement? Hiram, John David, I mean, that's the way we're going to be proceeding unless we hear otherwise.
Yes, Your Honor. John David Franz here for the law offices of John David Franz. I had not had an opportunity to speak to Mr. Eufrasio, but I do have a copy of the notice that was sent to you, Judge, signed by Iram Gutierrez as Purdue Brandon's representative, and myself as representative of law offices of John David Franz. And that letter is dated February 20th. And what we said is, and this is signed by both of us, and I'll be happy to give the court a copy of this. It says, Dear Judge Garcia, on February 17, 2014, the law offices of John David Franz notified Purdue Brandon, Fielder, Collins, and Mott that it had elected to terminate its association with Purdue Brandon. Both firms, collaborating together, have enjoyed and appreciated the opportunity to represent you over the past 7 years. While the association has existed, Purdue Brandon and Franz have diligently represented your interests in delinquent tax collection and related matters. Following Mr. Franz's termination of the association, both firms will be available to assist you as you may desire. We anticipate that the association between Purdue Brandon and John David Franz will continue on an interim basis while we work toward a resolution of our business relationship. At all times, your interests will be fully protected. Purdue Brandon and John David Franz will continue to provide the highest level of tax collection legal services without interruption as the association is dissolved. So I'm waiting for Purdue Brandon to sit down with me to finalize a dissolution, but until that happens, the county is protected I'm still involved, and I've got an extra copy for Mr. Eufrasio. Since all he received was oral notification with the court's permission, I'll give him a copy of the letter that we gave
All right, sir.
Steve, if this organization or this group doesn't exist anymore, is the contract still valid, or?
Well, according to what Mr. Franz's notice that he said was signed by both firms says, they are in the process of winding up their association. And until that winding up occurs, there is no dissolution. So this entity, this venture, joint venture or partnership, whatever you want to call it, is still in existence.
So
It is?
So business as usual.
Until they actually dissolve it, it's still in existence.
So
Do
it
you
can
need
go
action
on
on
till the
this?
end of the year?
It can go on until such time as they formally wind
We don't have to
it
have
up.
enough time to go out for bids again, RFQ, whatever.
Right, so, but until, they're still in existence legally until they actually dissolve their association.
And I'll let Mr. Gutierrez respond, but Purdue Brandon is taking the position that there is not now and there never was a legal entity entitled Purdue Brandon, Fielder, Collins, and Mott, LLP, in association with the law office of John David Franz.
Hiram, is that your position? If it is, I think we're going to proceed and cut a check to both of you. And you guys work it out amongst yourselves. When we get a signed document giving us, whatever you both of you agree to, then we'll do something otherwise.
Yeah.
But right now, in order to protect the county from any claim being made by your firm or John David's firm, you just got a check made payable to both.
Just to make it clear, we're prepared to indemnify the county for anything that might arise from this dissolution of this association with Mr. Franz. We would like to continue for the checks to be issued the way they have been. There is no legal entity called Purdue Brandon, Fielder, Collins, and Mott in association with John David Franz. There's no tax returns filed by such an entity. There's no tax ID number for such an entity. I believe that in order to issue checks and comply with IRS regulations, a new entity would actually have to be created and a tax ID number created for that entity.
Not really, because I do business for some people, and they sell their invoices. And when I pay them, that company in association with them, and I send it off. And the company doesn't get, the ones that gets the W-9 is the actual company. You know, when they...
But I think in that case, they assign the invoices. I think in that case you're referring to, they sell the invoices.
They sell them, it's almost the same thing. He's selling his services.
For some reason, you put his name in there.
And again, I'm not going to argue regarding the compliance of IRS regulations. That, again, we will honor whatever the county desires, but we are prepared to indemnify you. If there's a disagreement between us and the law office of John David Franz, this will not affect the county in any way. It is our position, however, that the unilateral termination of the association by Mr. Franz does not affect the relationship between Purdue Brandon and the county. We feel that the contract between the county and Purdue Brandon still has full force and effect. We are prepared to continue serving the county for the remaining term of this contract and hope to be able to serve the county thereafter as well. But that is our position. Again, there is no legal entity called Purdue Brandon in association with John David Franz.
The only question I've got, Judge, is why couldn't this firm continue till the end of the year and give us enough time to go out for bids again?
Well, I think they're proposing to do that.
You are?
We are prepared for that, yes.
Is that what you would want, John?
I want them to come talk to me or set us up for a meeting, because for 30 days now since I gave them this notice, they've not come to talk to me. What he's saying here doesn't make sense to me, because he's saying the legal entity that Hidalgo County contracted with doesn't exist. Now, that's news to me, but if that's their position, you don't have a contract.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
You don't have a legal entity that you're contracting with, And so now, he's
John.
saying he's prepared to indemnify me. I don't want to be left on the hook. There are some serious legal issues here, and if they don't exist, if this entity that it contracted with Hidalgo County doesn't exist,
No, the
well, then
contract
you need to
doesn't
find
exist.
somebody, whether it's their firm, my firm, or another firm,
John,
to take over this
we have a
job.
contract and it, with Purdue and in association with your firm.
Absolutely.
But he says it doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist in
Well-
Says it doesn't exist.
Well, Judge, Commissioners, if I may, regardless of the arguments of either of the two firms, we have a valid contract, and it's with Purdue in association with John David Franz. My advice still is we make the checks payable to Purdue in association with John David Franz.
And then let you guys argue it amongst themselves, work it out, or do whatever you need to do.
Well,
But-
now that he's here, maybe y'all need to come together and come into an agreement, sit down and talk, and maybe give us enough time to go out, if we have to go out for bids or whatever, because, we can't we do it from one day to another.
Judge, but I think Iran brings a good point as far as the identification number. Again, I got a W-9 that had the identification number of Purdue and Brandon. And that's
Keep on
what
doing it the way you've been doing it for the last 3 years,
Right.
Joe Venancio,
Nobody's
I
complaining.
believe they give them a 1099, right?
Purdue and
John, do
Brandon
you get a
did.
1099 from them?
I get it from Purdue.
Yes.
Right.
That's no problem. You can write it, you can make it
Yeah,
out to
just
both
make it out
firms.
the same.
He signs it, they deposit it, then they give him a 1099.
And they settle their differences between themselves, and that we've got a contract that's gonna last till the end of the year. Between now and then, we're gonna need time to put it out for bids again and advertise it.
Commissioner Flores, are you saying just continue issuing the payment the way I've been doing it?
No, we're saying continue issuing the pay.
No, but you gotta add on there, with,
The name?
in
And both
parentheses
names.
right there. But,
And then till we
and if he
decide-
has to, he can endorse that check and give it to them, and then they give him a 1099, once they pay him.
And let me tell you, at the very beginning, when this started, and speaking to Norma Garcia, if you can imagine writing Purdue Brandon, Fielder Collins Mott LLP in association with the
Yeah.
lost offices of John David Franz, Inc.,
It
on
wouldn't
a
fit-
check.
It wouldn't fit in there.
You know, it was a real, real long check. And we have had other clients from other governmental entities that have written checks to both of our firms. So, but I'm happy to sit down and talk with them.
Do you have a contract with them?
That somewhat, yeah.
They've been paying you? No problem, right? They pay
No,
you?
no, no, everything's fine.
I mean, y'all need to sit down
Everything's
and
fine up
try
to
to
now.
work this out. Brother?
Yeah. Yeah, we don't wanna be dragged into it.
And I do appreciate that we have no desire to bring you into any disagreements between
But
both firms.
if we do decide to go out for bids, we need enough time for y'all to let us know when
Absolutely.
it's gonna be terminated.
Yeah. And I did supply an opinion regarding what the situation is between the firms. I know it was expressed that, well, if you don't, there's no such entity as this association, then you don't have a contract. This is really, the way we see it is, this is more like a two firms working for you.
Together.
And one firm leaving doesn't necessarily terminate the whole contract between all parties. But that's all I have to say. If you have any questions, I'll be available for you.
Thank you, sir. All right. Any other questions, Mr.
That's what I had,
O'Connor?
Judge, so I got my direction.
All right, then move on to precinct 2, item 16.
Wait,
Go ahead.
For the record, Tito, you were here when the prayer was going on.
Ready? Judge, Commissioners, Raul Rivera, Precinct 2, representing Commissioner Tito Palacios. Item 16A, we have is Precinct 2 various accounts. We're requesting approval to process the following invoices as claims with authority for the county treasurer to issue payment after review, audit, and processing. Procedures are completed by the county auditor for the vendors that are listed, the invoices that are listed, and the amounts that are listed.
move for approval.
Second?
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
16B is requested approval to process the following invoices as claims with authority for county treasurer to issue payment after review, audit, and processing.
are completed by the county auditor for Mobile Relays Partners. There's 2 invoices, $30 each.
Move for approval.
Second. Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge Commissioners.
Item 17, Precinct 4.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Joe Ochoa, Precinct 4, right-of-way. Item 17A, consideration and approval to purchase a certain tract of land, also known as Parcel 14, for the Trenton Drainage Project.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Is this
Budget
one of the
on-
items that is going to be discussed in closed session, Steve? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Morning, Judge Commissioners. Sergio Cruz, Department of Budget Management. Item 18A is acknowledgement of use of a co-manager for the refunding of outstanding bonds by senior underwriter Estrada Hinojosa. This is just to have the court acknowledge that there will be use of a co-manager. There will be no contract between us and the different underwriters. It's just between us and the senior underwriter, and then there'll be agreements between the underwriter and any other co-managers.
So it's up to them, to Estrada?
Yes,
Hinojosa?
it'll be up to them. They'll get some recommendations from our financial advisors, but just to have the court acknowledge that there may be use of the co-manager.
So we're not hiring anybody, he's the one hiring them?
Sergio,
do they-
the co-manager is going to be the one that you had mentioned last time?
Yes, that's the one that our financial advisor is going to be recommending, yes. Steve, do they need to approve this, or this is just an acknowledgement?
Just an acknowledgement.
So no-
It doesn't hurt to approve the acknowledgement.
Okay.
We should not want to be under contractual obligations with the co-manager.
Then Judge, if I could have approval of the acknowledgement?
Sergio, so you're going to pay,
Second.
you're going to pay Estrada, and Estrada is going to pay the other
Yeah.
individual?
Correct.
We're going to be a sub for.
Okay.
And you need action on it? the
Yes, if we could
acknowledgement?
just have approval of the acknowledgement.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item 18B is approval to submit the request for funds for unclaimed capital credits from the Texas Comptroller of Public Accounts as authorized by Section 76.602 of the Texas Property Code. This is just a request for capital credits. The last capital credits that we received from the State Comptroller was in the amount of $163,323.60. So we're just requesting these capital credits for fiscal years 2012 and 2013. If we can just have approval of that.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item 18C is approval of a 2014 appropriation of funds for the county clerk's record archive in the amount of $408,850.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge Commissioners.
Thank you.
Marty?
I'm sorry, I was answering a question. Martha Salazar for the Purchasing Department. Let me get to my agenda. We're going to go on first to 19A1, and that is like I said, I apologize, I was addressing a department. Okay, this is presentation for discussion, consideration, acceptance, and approval of the following items in connection to Hidalgo County's breath test services as provided by county's contracted vendor, Mary Ann Perales, DBA Breath Test Services, through contract number 094. First is the interlocal agreements between Hidalgo County and the cities of Palm View and San Juan for the provision of replacing at the city police departments the county-owned new intoxilizer models, breath test instruments, and thus enhancing the joint efforts between the county and the cities in testing individuals suspected of driving under the influence of alcohol. These have been reviewed by the DA's office, and they're ready to go.
Move for approval.
Second.
It's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Approval for the fixed asset division to pick up Hidalgo County's existing intoxilizer breath instruments located at both the city police departments identified with Hidalgo County's tag numbers as stated below, and that's in San Juan and Palm View.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
This is approval of the construction order directive number 3 as drafted and submitted through project architect Alcocer Garcia and Associates and reviewed and concurred by construction manager in the, for the selection of the hardware option and also some plumbing issues that were erroneously
Move for
printed with the wrong number, and that's totally my fault. I want to correct it at
Then
this
the number
point.
should be 77,
7,000.
965?
975, just that correction. Because all the supporting documentation,
$77,965
yes, $77,965, the supporting documentation is there.
instead of
Second
73,990.
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
B1 for Precinct 1, this is requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code 262-024A4, a professional service.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The scoring for the sole provider that can do the review appraisal services is HLH. I need approval of that.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And item C would be instructions that we can negotiate a contract with HLH.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, going to item C1, Precinct 2, requesting approval of a supplemental agreement 1 to work authorization 1 in an increase of $11,003 for the current contract with R. Gutierrez Engineering Corporation for Precinct 2 Rancho Blanco Road Project from Alamo to Tower Road.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Precinct 4, we're requesting exemption under Texas Local Government Code 262-024A, a professional engineering service.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Presenting of the scoring grid for the purposes of ranking of the 3 firms from the pool, Half and Associates at 98, Cook Joyce at 93, and CADCon Corporation at 95. Does the court wish to rank them in the order of their
Move
scores?
for approval.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And authority for the county purchasing department to negotiate a professional engineering services contract with the number 1, commencing with the number 1 at Half and Associates.
Move for
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Presentation of the sole bid received as detailed in the tabulation sheet contained herein. This is for the precast end treatments, and that being the vendor that is in your backup. I apologize, I don't have my iPad with me. I think it's L&R.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much, that's all I have.
Balde.
Balde. Balde.
Building.
Next item is closed session. There's a need to go into executive session. Need a motion?
So move.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Who's going to take over that? Those duties? Gotcha.
Yeah.
right, we're back in open session. Mr. Guerra?
Thank you, Judge Commissioners. Under item 21A, open session 21A, there is no action. Real estate. 21B, pending potential, no action. 21C, C-1518-14-F, Josephine Carnell and David Mendoza Jr. versus Hidalgo County Drainage District Number 1, and Gerardo Cavazos. Judge Commissioners, I want to refer back to item 7A1 and 2, 7A1, requesting exemption from the competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code, Section 26202-484, professional service for the provision of legal services representation in connection with litigation. Could I have a motion to?
So moved. Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 7A2, requesting the engagement with the law firm of Atlas Holland Rodriguez for the provision of legal services representation in connection with litigation and authority to submit a letter of engagement, specifically C-1518-14-F, Josephine Carnell and David Mendoza Jr. versus Hidalgo County Drainage District Number 1, and Gerardo Cavazos. Judge Commissioners, I do want to note that the representation is on behalf of the entity Hidalgo County and not Hidalgo County Drainage District Number 1 or Gerardo Cavazos.
But that's item C, it says versus Hidalgo County? Oh.
Yes,
Hidalgo
because it
County,
includes
just Hidalgo County.
just Hidalgo
Right.
County, yes.
Gotcha.
If I could have a motion to that effect?
You need action for that?
Yes, sir.
Move for approval?
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 7D, Judge Commissioners, we took action last week. Santos Rodriguez Jr. et al. Versus Hidalgo County Sheriffs et al., City of Mission et al., and other unknown persons. I want to clarify and put on the record that the action that was taken last week, assigning additional counsel, which was Mr. Mike Lee, that Mr. Mike Lee is co-counsel, because we have Mr. Preston Henriksen also assigned to this very same case. And so I want to make sure that, that I put on the record to make it clear that Mr. Mike Lee is co-counsel on this matter.
There's no association of any kind?
I'm sorry?
No, so don't worry about making a check to the association.
No, it's co-counsel. Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Judge Commissioners, item 22 and 23, there's no need to go back into close or open session, and that's all I have for today.
Move to adjourn?
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.